What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today I am behind the wheel of the 2026 Toyota Sequoia. This one is the fully loaded Capstone with the i4 Max hybrid powertrain. And Toyota has sent me the Sequoia Capstone to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into it. For those of you who don't know, the Sequoia is based off of the Toyota Tundra pickup truck. They share the same platform. They look identical on the interior and the exterior, minus the third row seats and, the bed. The Sequoia is a true body-on-frame truck, and it is a full-size 3-row SUV. So first, let's start off with the ride quality. We have a double wishbone front suspension, multi-link in the rear, and it has that typical floaty feel that Toyota's body-on-frame SUVs typically have. And this Capstone trim level is supposed to be the luxury trim level, and Toyota has taken steps to make this feel like a true luxury vehicle. The tuning of the suspension and the comfort are both fantastic. The interior is extremely quiet thanks to good sound deadening materials, but we also have laminated glass on the windshield and the two front windows. Today is a pretty windy day, but you can hardly hear the wind at all. And one of the main things that differentiates the Capstone from the other trim levels is that this has 22-inch wheels. It actually has the exact same 22-inch wheels that are on the Toyota Tundra Capstone. And I did a video on that a little over a year ago, so if you're interested in that too, be sure to check that out. And with those 22-inch wheels, we still have a 50 series sidewall on the tire. So that is not a low profile tire by any means. So even with the big wheels, I still think this has plenty of cushion to still give it a nice smooth ride. But I can only imagine that other trim levels with smaller wheels maybe perhaps even ride smoother than this. Outside noise from the environment is very minimal, but we do get a good amount of noise coming in from the engine. This also has artificial sound that kind of amplifies the engine sound. But this is a twin turbo V6 and it's a very throaty one, so the power in this thing is very audible. Also, on the topic of comfort, the Sequoia Capstone has massaging seats. So if we go out into the Toyota interface, hit the car icon, seat controls, massage. Only for the front seats, not for the back. Hit the driver's side, I'm going lumbar, power, full intensity, and it's really nice to have. It's a really good massage. It gets pretty deep in there. But the suspension, it does very well with bumps and potholes. Honestly, you can barely feel them. It eats up everything really nicely. There's a good amount of travel in the suspension, and because of that, you don't really feel too many harsh impacts. How rude. Alright, next let's talk about the powertrain. As I mentioned earlier, this is the i4 Max powertrain, so it is hybrid. We have a 3.4 liter twin turbo V6. It puts out a combined 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. Those are some pretty big numbers. I'm going to say this about the hybrid system. I just want to get this out of the way. I do not think the purpose of this hybrid system is to improve fuel economy. I don't think it really does that. I think the sole purpose of this hybrid system is just to give a little bit of extra electric boost. This does not have an EV mode, and at no point during the past week while I've been driving this has it ever gone to just on the battery while in motion. The only time I've ever even seen the engine cut off was while parked, for like an extended period of time. When you first start this vehicle, the engine comes right on, which is not typical for hybrids. Typically, you turn on a hybrid, it goes into battery mode first before the engine comes on. This does not do that. And fuel economy is 19 city, 22 highway, 20 combined. So I can't really imagine how much worse that would be if it didn't have the hybrid system. And if you look down here, you can see we have switches for the transfer case. So this does have a part-time four-wheel drive system. So we can put it in 2 high, 4 high, or 4 low. That low gear is very useful for off-roading or inclement weather, mud, snow, stuff like that. In normal driving on an even dry surface, you should always have it in 2-wheel drive. When you put it into 4-wheel drive on 4 high, you get a lot of wheel hop. That's typical for 4-wheel drive vehicles, but in this one it's really bad, and it's especially bad when you have the wheel turned all the way to the side. So regular driving, 2 high is where you want to have it. This does have an automatic limited slip differential, but I am surprised that a vehicle like this doesn't have a center or rear locking differential like other Toyota body-on-frame SUVs like the Land Cruiser and the 4Runner. As far as drive modes, the standard drive modes, they're very simple. If we look here into the gauge cluster, we only have 3: Sport, Normal, and Eco. There's no custom mode or anything like that, so very streamlined. We're going to go into an acceleration test now, so I'm going to put it in Sport. We have a 10-speed automatic. We don't have any paddle shifters, but we do have a manual shift up and down here on the gear selector. 0 to 60 is rated at 5.6 seconds, which is quite quick for a vehicle that weighs 6,200 pounds. Weighs 6,200 pounds and can tow just under 9,000 pounds. So we're going to come to a complete stop. I'm not going to brake torque it. I'm just going to go. Keep it realistic. You know, the sounds this thing makes while accelerating are crazy. It almost sounds like it's supercharged. Now, unfortunately, the boost from the electric motor does not cancel out the turbo lag, so there's still a considerable amount of turbo lag. But once it finally does get going, the low-end torque, that 583 pound-feet of torque, you can feel every bit of it. It does throw you back in the seat just a little bit. As far as the transmission, it does shift a little bit quick. I find the way it shifts to be very similar to Acura's 10-speed automatic. Like, we don't even touch redline before switching into next gear. And also, unlike the other Toyota body-on-frame SUVs, this does not have the kickdown switch on the accelerator pedal. For 0 to 60 purposes, that is better, but when you're on the highway already in motion and you want to pass someone, dropping a gear does typically help, but we don't really have that option here. I mean, you probably could do it with this, but you know, that just adds an extra step. And even if part of the sound of this engine is artificial, I still think it's a really good sounding engine. It sounds very throaty, very powerful. It sounds like a proper truck. And I know there's a lot of people that are unhappy because it doesn't have a V8 anymore. Now, do I think the old V8 is more reliable than the twin-turbo V6 hybrid? Absolutely. But performance-wise, I'm not really feeling left out here. Alright, so now it is time to take this thing out on the highway. So in terms of road noise and wind noise, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. In regular city driving, it's like dead silence, but here on the highway, there's a little bit of noise, but nothing too overbearing. I don't have to like raise my voice considerably like I have to in a lot of other vehicles, but it's a very smooth ride, even over like these transitions on bridges, or like relief joints, whatever they're called. Now, anytime you accelerate, the engine is pretty loud, but once you get up to coasting and your RPM stays steady, you don't really hear the engine much. When you're already in motion, you put your foot down, there is still a little bit of excuse me, there's a little bit of turbo lag. Okay, now I'm going to put my foot all the way down now. Yeah, it's a bit laggy. I mean, once the power kicks in, this thing does have quite a bit of thrust. But it certainly does take some time to get there. Alright, so now it is time to test out the adaptive cruise control, and I'll get this out of the way now. I'm not really a fan of this system. I think it might be a slightly older system because this uses lane tracing assist, but not lane keep assist. Alright, so to turn it on, speed button, it's set. I'm going about 57, but as you can see, I'm steering the whole time because if you try to take your hands off the wheel, this thing will just completely drift out of the lane. Now this button here is for lane trace assist. See, I just hit that button and on the head-up display, the lines on the lane went off. Now it's back on. And yep. So I had this same issue in the Toyota RAV4 Woodland, where it just did not behave the same way as Toyota's other systems. So this vehicle cannot steer for you, and to me that's very disappointing. One, because almost all of Toyota's other vehicles can do it, and two, this one is incredibly expensive. See, hands off the wheel and going straight into the next lane. So I think that presents a scenario that could end very badly for someone who thinks that this works like a regular cruise control system and then learns the hard way that it indeed does not. This 2026 Toyota Sequoia Capstone has a 14-speaker JBL audio system, so let's take a listen. So last year when I had the Tundra Capstone as a press car, I had said that the JBL audio system in that one was probably the worst JBL audio system I ever heard. This one, in theory, should be the exact same system. It sounds okay, but not great. But similar to the Tundra, it's just lacking power. It sounds weak, and to be honest, the clarity isn't that great either. So for me, an audio system that sounds like this in a vehicle as expensive as this is very, very disappointing. This JBL, it does come standard on the Capstone, but if it didn't, it would not be anything I would recommend spending any extra money to get. And it's especially disappointing because I know Toyota can do better, and they have done better. So if the quality of the audio system is something that's very important to you, this is something to keep in mind. Alright, so now we are out here at the back roads to test out the steering and the handling of the Sequoia Capstone. Now the steering, it has okay weight to it. I wish maybe it was just a little bit heavier, especially for a vehicle this big, but it's still tuned very well. It's very smooth, and I like how it's a nice big wheel, you know, appropriate for the size of the vehicle. This is a big body-on-frame SUV, and yes, it does drive like one, but I can say in terms of body roll and stuff like that, it's a lot better than Toyota's other body-on-frame SUVs like the Land Cruiser, the Lexus GX, the Lexus LX. This one isn't quite as top-heavy as those other vehicles. I'd say it drives more like a 4Runner than it does like the Land Cruiser. Now when I throw it back into sport mode, it tightens up a little bit. It's not super noticeable, but just a little bit. The way it feels in sport, this is how I wish it would feel in normal, and then maybe sport be a little bit tighter than this. But I don't dislike the steering. I think it's perfectly fine. So the MSRP of this 2026 Toyota Sequoia Capstone is $86,530. Now that is quite a steep price. Is it worth that much money? I'm not so sure. I'm a little conflicted on it. On one hand, Toyota makes great vehicles that almost always stand the test of time. But on the other hand, you can get some highly spec'd Lexus or other luxury brands vehicles for the same money. And the audio system and the adaptive cruise control systems just don't do it for me. The amenities on the inside, they're nice, but I'm not so sure if they're 86 grand nice. I think it's a great vehicle overall, but I also think it should cost less. So that's going to wrap up this test drive of the new 2026 Toyota Sequoia Capstone. Again, big thank you to Toyota for sending out the Sequoia for this review. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and be sure to follow at Optical Automotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.